September 16th, 2016. Guys, you're looking at close-up satellite images of the Gulf of Mexico. This is the storm that we've been tracking for days. As the mainstream, they wouldn't even list it for 4 or 5 days, but I knew it had a strong lower-level circulation and it was coming into the Gulf of Mexico. What's amazing, it has made a sudden turn, and this video is a warning to the people in Louisiana that was flooded about a month ago, guys. Remember, I did a video talking about the low pressure forming over the Gulf, and I included these moisture indexes. Now, that brought the record flooding to Louisiana. The same scenario is setting up now, and this storm has turned violently to the north and northeast instead of going west into Texas. Now, some parts of Houston and people like that in that area, Galveston, will see some impact if this thing remains on this eastern turn. But the northwest quadrant of the storm has the most wind. As you see where the center is now turning, has the most wind, it has the most rain, it has the most devastation. Bad thing about it is as we look at the 5-day forecast, and you can see where the center of circulation is now and how fast it's turning. I'm going to speed this up. I've overlaid radar and wind vectors. Is that they're predicted this thing could last. It could sit out here for 4 or 5 days. That's what the models are changing. We're just going to have to wait and see. But notice in the top left corner we have a front coming in, and that's going to be a steering current. It may pick it up and pull it out, or it could suppress it in the Gulf. But either way, it looks like Texas is going to be spared the main right quadrant. Now, this is not a tropical storm or depression yet. That's not the important part, guys. Remember when you flooded here in Louisiana and us in Mississippi? That wasn't a tropical depression or a storm either. Record flooding. Now, this is Ian. It's a post-tropical storm. That's what the X means, but it's at 65 miles an hour. Notice, which makes it the strongest storm still on our chart. You've got Carl, you've got the large storm coming off of Africa that's tracking guys straight across. Carl's tracking straight across at this point, except for one model. Julia is still making a southern dive, trying to come out from under that cloud cover that's being sheared. And our disturbance is set here still a 10% chance of development. That's not the key. Again, those moisture divergence lines is telling us how much moisture in those clouds. Two things remain at 5-day outlook that could be named. One is the large storm coming off of Africa. They're giving it a 50% chance. That was the one I was talking about, monster storm. Notice the one right there, guys. I click on all storms. And notice at the top, I've switched from the immediate forecast to the 5-day graphical outlook. That storm's still sitting there, or remnants of it. Will it be caught up in the front? I don't know, or I don't know if they haven't changed that model yet. But Julia now is no longer predicted except by one model, the Canadian model in the purple line, to go out into the North Atlantic. Everything else has it now turning. 3 going to Georgia, 2 cross the Florida Peninsula. The other models just kind of stop and are waiting to see what happens. 2 radar images. Far right, you have Julia, and you can see that the center of circulation, again, is being sheared. It's moving under the tops of the clouds that are being sheared. Here is the rain that's building for southern Louisiana, Mississippi. Guys, I'm in central Mississippi at this point, and it's already cloudy. But I want to remind you, let's look at that 5-day forecast again. 2 storms out there they're talking about that could be named. But that disturbance is still sitting there. I'm not sure if they haven't had time to change the models. They are not saying it's going into Louisiana. They're saying it's going into Texas. I say it's going to go right into Louisiana, right into the worst possible places. And guys, there's things that could be done to make it better. One was I saw a video where one of the local, I think, chief of police was complaining because on I-10, which many of us are familiar with, they had barriers, these concrete barriers between the roads, and actually created a 3-foot dam, which by the time it backed up put about 5 foot of water in people's houses that never had been flooded before. And then they complained about it. They pulled 2 barriers, and enough went down to let the water out of their homes, and they put them right back in place. It's crazy. That needs to be moved. If anybody's listening, that needs to be moved for this occasion. We're watching it, guys. Again, flood warning, Louisiana. Be safe.